Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for attending today. Welcome to the Lithodomos Investor webinar. My name's Emily. I work here at Birchal, and I'm really excited today to introduce you to Craig and Simon from Lithodomos. Welcome, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks so much for being here. So before we kick off proceedings, if anybody has any questions throughout the session, please feel free to pop them in the Q&A box, and the boys will get them to those questions after their presentation. Just letting you know, if you do miss anything, we will be sending out a recording after the session as well. And if you do have any questions that you didn't get answered on today's session, you're welcome to get in touch with the team. I'll hand it over to Simon and Craig to get started. Please take it away.
Fantastic. I'll just bring the presentation up. Just a moment. Okay. Has that come up clearly on the screen?
Looks perfect.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much, Emily, and welcome to everybody. And thank you for joining us today. We're really excited to share Lithodomos' story with you and our plans for what's coming next. Well, first of all, my name is Simon Young, and I'm an archaeologist by profession with my PhD from the University of Melbourne. For years, while I was researching and surveying ancient sites in Greece, Italy, and Turkey as part of my studies, I often found myself absorbed by ancient writings, drawings, and examining the ruins of these incredible monumental buildings that are in these countries. And in the process of trying to put all these pieces together in my mind and to visualize what these places look like, I really wanted to enter into what it was actually like to be there. So when I discovered 3D modeling platforms and the incredible things they were achieving and how they could transform archaeological data into visual material, I set about teaching myself the basics and recreating these some examples for myself. As I was doing this, the wider applications of these recreations soon dawned on me, and I started Lithodomos. You might be wondering, what does Lithodomos mean? Well, it's an ancient Greek word, and it means stone mason. And the reason I chose that word was because we are really building environments, not from stone, but digitally. So we are builders.
Hi, everyone. I'm Craig Hartenstein, Lithodomos' CEO, and I'm coming to you today from the Ludus Maximus. This is the gladiatorial training school outside the Colosseum in ancient Rome. I spent about 3 decades in the live entertainment industry, and I was introduced to Lithodomos just over a year ago, and I was instantly blown away by what the company had already achieved. Hopefully you've had a chance to take a look at some of them, but the roamable 360-degree environments are just simply amazing. And the stories that they tell and tell visually, they really bring history to life for someone like me. And I couldn't wait to try them all out. And after I did and saw how easy it was and how fun it was and how engaging it was, the entertainment promoter instantly saw how scalable this could be. And I was instantly in. Now, before we start the presentation, let me tell you a bit about what we're going to share today. We're going to tell you a bit about the company's background, the unmet opportunity we see in the market, how we see addressing that unmet need with a demonstration of one of our experiences, as well as a bit about our business model and our strategy to grow Lithodomos. So to provide a bit of context about cultural heritage sites, there are over 1,100 UNESCO World Heritage Sites around the world, and they're welcoming about 200 million visitors per year in 2019. And together, these sites, they represent the diversity of our planet and the people who've lived on it. They show the development of human history over thousands of years and celebrate the best of who we are through art, history, architecture, religion, industry, and so much more. And it's no wonder so many of us study them in school and travel to see them later in life. In fact, according to UNESCO, cultural tourism is one of the fastest growing segments in tourism. It's accounting for an estimated 40% of all tourism worldwide. And when you think about the 600 million secondary school students who are, some of them studying ancient history at some point, it provides a really compelling landscape for what we do.
The funny thing is that when you visit these cultural heritage sites, much of what you see are carefully preserved ruins and artifacts behind glass in a museum nearby. If you're lucky enough, you might have an informative guide with you to help you understand. But for most of us, we are left to read and interpret information boards on site or read through brochures or guidebooks that we might bring along. Most people feel like they need to be an amateur historian or archaeologist to really appreciate what they've traveled halfway around the world to see. And while audio guides, to a large part, have helped a little in providing that really important information, most of it is still left up to our best guesses and our imagination. Most of us leave asking ourselves, I wonder what it used to look like. That is, until now. At Lithodomos, we're on a mission to transform how we enjoy and learn from ancient cultural heritage sites. Whether you're a visitor on site or exploring from the comfort of your own home, or even a student learning about the ancient world from a classroom, we at Lithodomos aim to bring you on that journey by inspiring wonder about the world around us, by revealing the stories and legends of the places that shape and bind humanity, through digital experiences that increase engagement, revenue, and profitability for our clients, and give a more accessible, fun, enriching, and memorable experience to the explorer in each of us. I founded Lithodomos on the winter solstice of 2016, and with the help and support of colleagues and early investors, set out to create the best library of archaeologically accurate, high-resolution, geolocated environments of the ancient world. As of today, we have over 500 360-degree places, reconstructions in 65 different locations around the world. And if you scan the QR code on the screen now, and I encourage you to do so, it will take you to our complete catalogue that you can review for yourselves. I'll just give you a moment to scan. With everyone excited about the potential of VR, we quickly expanded, raising capital every step along the way. And by the end of 2019, we had 58 tour operators and 26 educational institutions using our experiences. And we were getting pretty good global press. But as the VR hype died down, some cracks started to emerge in the operability and scalability of the technology, particularly on site with high visitor volumes. VR was cumbersome to use that volume and required a number of staff to sell, manage, collect, and maintain the devices. Even though we were getting strong user reviews, we needed to find a better way. And then the pandemic hit. Over the next 2 years, we discovered the answer in our pockets: augmented reality on our mobile phones. You see, 4G and 5G networks had made data delivery faster. International roaming charges plummeted to reasonable levels. Battery life on our phones improved to all-day usability. Phone manufacturers improved their hardware in ways that made them perfect for AR. And developers made mainstream applications. For example, the furniture company IKEA made an AR app to help you place furniture in your house. And other developers created a set of content development tools that made content creation more efficient and more cost-effective. Augmented reality use took off worldwide. And the confluence of all these factors led Lithodomos to create expeditions during the pandemic. The care and effort we had invested in creating our content paid off. It works beautifully in AR as well as in VR.
Now, that same content that Simon's been talking about that we created through all those years, we're now using that to power what we call our expeditions. These are the augmented reality tours on cultural heritage sites. And we're selling these to visitors of cultural heritage sites that are on-site box offices and tour operators, but not just on-site. We're also selling them to people who want to explore at-home explorers, as well as teachers and students through our Ancient World e-commerce platform. And honestly, they're so fun and easy to use. Simple, actually, visitors just go up and they simply pay around €5 or $8 Australian, scan a QR code, often on the ticket of admission, and their experience downloads in just 30 seconds, ready to use. No forms to fill out or apps to download, no additional staff to hand out audio guides and things like that. Customers simply pay, scan, and start discovering. Just hold up your phone, and the geolocation on your phone and the gyroscope show you exactly what it used to look like thousands of years ago. And now you can either follow suggested itineraries or freely roam around to discover the stories, myths, and legends that are there. It's really an incredible way to experience some of these sites. One of the expeditions we have created is the Athenian Acropolis. Now, to develop this experience, we actually mapped the entire location to allow visitors to freely roam the entire site in augmented reality if they wish. So let me take you to the gates at the top of the Acropolis. It's called the Propylaea, to show you what the experience is like.
You've just passed through a large structure called the Propylaea, or as the locals call it, the Periclean Gateway. It is the main entrance to the Acropolis.
Now, most of the buildings and statues you see here are no longer there, but you can walk amongst them and get a sense of what it was really like to be there.
This massive bronze statue rose up from the center of the Acropolis.
And at each, there's these icons, as you can see here, that when you push them, they tell the story or the myth or legend behind it, truly bringing the ancient site back to life. Now, our team of archaeologists, artists, and programmers and storytellers, they love making these experiences. There's something really special about creating new experiences for those around us that can be these incredible shared moments in time that we enjoy with our family and friends that bring us all together. And like I said, our team just loves doing this. On any given day, the way this all works is field research from a remote archaeologist will be filtered into a creative brief here in Melbourne that we then execute through a team of 3D artists that are throughout Europe and Latin America. And to give you a better idea of what goes into creating our experiences, we'd like to share a short video we created for our partners. There you go. So working arm in arm with our partners, we redefine the visitor experience through the robust process. It takes us about 6 months to create one of these from start to finish. But at the end, we provide a complete, integrated, future-proof experience. And the way we add value to our partners is by delivering these unique experiences that increase their revenue and their profits. It enhances the visitor experience and inspires positive word of mouth, while also providing incredible customer data on how our visitors actually engage with their site. This is not just visitor volumes that are time-stamped, but we can actually show where people go, their traffic pathways throughout the site. And we can actually show how long people are dwelling at different places. So you actually understand, how long people are dwelling, what their level of interest is, And by doing so, a good insight into customer satisfaction. And who are these target customers that we're talking about? Well, we tend to look at them two ways. We look at our customers and our clients. Now, our customers are our explorers. These are the actual travelers, the students, the teachers, and the at-home explorers that are enjoying it themselves. And overall, these are folks that are seeking authentic, enriching personal experiences. And they want the freedom to explore in their own way and in their own time, and have a real active role in discovering the world around them, not being led around by a tour guide or a tour book, or necessarily even a teacher from the front of the classroom. This is where they want to get engaged and have it an experience for themselves. On the other side, we have our clients, and these are our partners. These are cultural heritage sites, travel and tour operators, schools and universities, and even publishers and producers. And these are folks that are seeking enduring connections. They want to create enduring connections between their site or subject and their users and visitors, generating great word of mouth and repeat visitation. And from the commercial side, they're looking for something where it's low risk, turnkey, easy to use, and it's frictionless in the way that they operate or use their experiences or even teach in their classrooms. Overall, though, they're looking for that increased enjoyment, higher engagement, and for the tourism side, increased revenue and profitability. So how do we win? Well, there are substitutes for our AR tours out there from live guides and audio tours. But there's also a few competitors in our space, and specifically, that's augmented reality and virtual reality tours for ancient sites. And our closest competitors are like Histovery in France, Time Looper in Spain, and ATS in the UK. But most of these are really focused on selling their proprietary devices. So if you've been to a museum and you've had those wands you have to walk around, those sorts of things. That really makes it expensive, because rather than using the smartphone in every visitor's pocket, every cultural heritage site and operator, they have to buy those devices. They have to maintain those devices. And it really increases costs and limits their scalability for their partners. And this is where Lithodomos really can set itself apart, because we have this beautiful enriched visual storytelling that we've been showing you, and it makes these sites so much more engaging, but also accessible to more people, people that might not be able to travel and see it for themselves. And as we mentioned, this experience is completely contactless. It's available on any device, anywhere in the world, making it scalable, safe, and hygienic, which is really important these days. And as I mentioned, since there's no equipment required, there's no staff required to distribute, collect, maintain it. That reduces both your upfront costs and your operating costs, and widening profit margins for everybody. Not to mention the data I just mentioned. And the way sites are using this data is to better understand their visitor behaviors, optimize their operations, increase their revenue, and lower their costs. So how do we earn revenue out of all of this? Well, we earn revenue through contracts with ancient sites, tour operators, schools, universities, and content platforms, as well as through our own B2C e-commerce platform called Ancient World. Now, the contracts that we have are usually for multiple years, with fixed production fees paid up front or recovered from first revenues, followed by software as a service revenue streams, either as a revenue share or a license fee. Now, the revenue share model is used where our expedition is an upsell to the price of admission or standard tour, and we target this model at sites and operators that generally have more than 300,000 visitors per year. Then the license model is where our content is included in the price of admission or integrated into an existing multimedia guide, publication, or production. And our Ancient World site, users pay for either a single use or a fee or a subscription. Now, in all cases, we retain the intellectual property rights, and we do that so we have the flexibility in the future. If we have a license with a cultural heritage site, that we can also offer that to our educational clients and partners. Now, our target clients and customers are at a really interesting intersection of extended reality technology, cultural heritage tourism, and digital media, all of which are on the rise. Now, with a significant focus on cultural heritage sites and tourism, one of our challenges is the shape of the tourism rebound. But the good news is the summer has given us some good insights, and it seems to be gaining momentum around the world. And recently, we've had some good wins, including AR and VR installations at Melbourne's own Hellenic Museum, an immersive experience called A Journey of Faith with the East Valley JCC that takes visitors on a journey through the Second Temple in ancient Jerusalem in both an immersive projected environment, something unique for Lithodomos, and a VR experience. Then there's also a second temple, second temple license with the Tower of David Museum in Jerusalem, and an AR experience for the Islamic Museum of Australia, as well as content licenses with UK-based Ancient Origins, that's a subscriber content platform, as well as a prestigious luxury travel operator, where we're providing our content to their customers as part of their packages. Not to mention, just this morning, a contract we signed with the University of Sydney. Now, to successfully grow Lithodomos in 2023, we're focused on 5 key objectives. The first is securing 8 to 12 expedition contracts in the medium term with sites and/or tour operators, as well as setting us up really well for the next financial year by making good, strong contacts with at least 150 qualified prospects. Decision-making in the cultural heritage site industry takes some time, so we want to have those contacts ready to go and teed up. So right now in our pipeline, our focus is on securing partnerships, ideally where we have existing content, because that lowers one of those barriers, that cost of entry. And we're currently in advanced discussions with prominent cultural heritage sites and large-scale travel operators in Israel, Italy, the United Kingdom, Portugal, Mexico, and have early stage discussions with about 25 others. The second key objective for us is licensing 5 to 8 of our existing or creating bespoke content to a combination of cultural heritage sites, publishers, producers, multimedia guide companies, as well as education distribution companies. And as previously mentioned, we've recently signed an agreement with one large tour operator, as well as Ancient Origins, and we're in advanced discussions with one site in the UK, one site in Mexico, as well as in active discussions with a publisher in the US and a TV producer in the UK. Now, the third objective, this is really important for us, is securing a dedicated full-time European sales manager to drive all of these opportunities and support our existing sales representatives. And our fourth is developing and launching a digital marketing campaign to grow ancient world traffic in the short to medium term. And then number 5, and this is by no means the least, and actually probably one of the most important, is continuing to improve our experiences, including upgrading all of our existing content into fully roamable environments and more attractive to users of different platforms like Meta Oculus. Now, to achieve these objectives, we're raising funds with Birchal. When we're successful at raising these funds, we aim to invest them in product and market development. More specifically, we plan to continue upgrading our existing content, as I just mentioned, improve their compatibility with the platforms, continue developing interactive features, and to do all of the above, increase the headcount for our development team. On the marketing development side, we intend to use these funds to lower the cost of entry for early adapters, as I mentioned, by advancing their production costs and fees that we can then recover from first revenues. We want to expand that sales team in Europe that expands our sales pipeline and allows us to also invest in digital marketing campaigns at both the B2B and B2C level. Now, we're really excited about our future, as you can tell, and we'd now like to hear from you. Emily, do you have any questions for us?
I certainly do. So instead of traditional fundraising, which you've done in the past, why have you decided to do crowdsource funding?
Well, for us, the Birchal platform seemed like a perfect way. I mean, a lot of what we're trying to do with Lithodomos is make the ancient world accessible to all, sort of the democratization, if you will, of the ancient world. Not only, it's no longer the place for historians and archaeologists alone. Sorry, Simon. It's now open to the rest of us. And the Birchal platform and crowdfunding seems to be a perfect place to do that.
Great. So I noticed a hand has come up. If you've got any questions, please feel free to pop them in the Q&A box just down the bottom of your screen. So at the moment, when you're thinking of new places that you want to expand to and do new exhibitions on, what inspires this for you?
Well, of course, a lot of it is looking for the places where we feel augmented reality can really enrich the experience. There's no sense in just putting in augmented reality that doesn't add anything to it. But when you can go to these places and you can reveal what they used to look like in their heyday, at the pinnacle of their existence, and not just showing the buildings. And I think this is one of the things a lot of people lose sight of. Augmented reality isn't just about recreating environments, but it can also be the important moments in history at these locations, whether that's a festival at an ancient Greek temple, or incredible historical battles at places like Masada in Israel. These are the places that, it's not just showing these buildings, but really bringing history back to life.
Yeah, absolutely. So in terms of the product itself, is it both something that is AR and VR, and do you need to be physically present?
Well, the great thing about the platform we've developed, which is Web VR, is that it is natively cross-platform. So to the first part of that question, it's viewable on mobile devices, tablets, but also within browsers on headsets that support Web VR. So it is absolutely viewable in VR as well as AR. And the experience is not only designed to be used on site and to derive the maximum benefit or a great benefit from being on site, but also can be used off site from home or within the classroom.
Yeah, great. Have you looked at working with virtual walking companies such as Conqueror Challenges to open up some walks to the customers?
As a matter of fact, we have. We're in discussions, some at early stages, some more advanced, with a couple of the walking tour companies and the audio guide companies that are out there that want to find a new way to get their fan base using new technologies.
Awesome.
Very exciting.
Do you think that there will be any issues surrounding IP or people copying your product?
They'd have to have somebody as smart as Simon to do that. I mean, honestly, a lot of this is about what we create in these local spaces. A lot of people think about the technology. It's not about the technology that's so special. It's the storytelling, and it's a real unique talent to be able to combine the technology platforms, the visuals, getting them archaeologically correct, and as beautiful as they are, with that storytelling on top that really engages everybody. I think it's pretty hard to duplicate those things. Now, in terms of digital rights management, this is a space that's being addressed by anybody who creates content these days, and it's getting better every year.
Yeah, great. So in terms of your customer base, I wonder if what Simon was saying before is that you don't have to be physically there in person. So people who are handicapped or bedridden who may not be able to travel, they essentially can experience those places just via a virtual headset. Is that correct?
That's absolutely right. And not only a virtual headset is one way of accessing the experience, but on a mobile phone or tablet or PC, it's equally accessible. You can use a gyroscope to look around, but if you have limited mobility, you can also move the 360 environment with gestures on a screen. So there's a whole range of different ways to access these experiences.
And you'd be surprised the number of cultural heritage sites and museums we speak to. This is really a key endeavor for them in the coming years, is to make it accessible for everybody around the world, even those who can't travel to see them, or even a cultural heritage site where maybe some of it, if you're not able to walk up, through the ruins and everything else, being able to see them at the same time your family is seeing them just a few meters away, and making sure that it can really be that shared experience for the whole family.
Yeah, terrific. So how do you differentiate the experiences between what's factual and what's interpretive?
Fantastic. So thanks for that question, Andrew. The experience that we present on expeditions is clearly an interpretative experience, and it is akin to a artistic impression on a guidebook that you might find in a museum or at an archaeological site, to give an impression of the social context and physical context of the place you were visiting. Within that, to differentiate, to deep dive further into the factual experiences, discoveries relating to artifacts and the current state of preservation of ruins, or the discoveries of important parts of sites are embedded within what we call discoveries, which these information icons are located around each of those viewpoints.
Fantastic. Are there currently user-directed experiences?
Yes, absolutely. So it is user-directed. Let's take the example that you are off-site. You can free roam much in the same way as you would on Google Street Maps. You click arrows to go forward, left, or right, so you can explore an environment within, say, for example, a PC. And you have the complete choice of which discoveries to look at first, or where to go from where you are. So it is entirely user-directed, yes.
Fantastic. If you're focusing on virtual reality, how would you differentiate yourselves against the multitude of users who are becoming proficient with Unreal Engine?
We differentiate ourselves because we take the power of traditional archaeological research and discoveries and transform these analog sources of data into a powerful digital humanities asset. So while there are maybe many proficient Unreal Engine developers out there, it's this connection between the power of traditional research and technology that really sets us apart.
Great.
Not to mention the storytelling element.
Not to mention the
The
story.
visuals are only just one part. Telling the complete story, those engaging narratives and the way we do it, that's really the alchemy.
Amazing. So which headsets is your platform currently compatible with?
So we are compatible with any headset that has the Oculus browser in it, for example. So Samsung Gear, Oculus Go, Oculus Quest, and coming soon, any headset that has web VR capability, and that is by all predictions going to be ubiquitous very, very soon.
So I know that you mentioned earlier that your expeditions or experiences when you're at a historical site are around $8. How did you come to this pricing model?
It's really interesting. A lot of people that we speak to in the industry think we could be charging quite a bit more. But we understand for a lot of consumers, they've never had an AR, VR experience yet. So we want to make it very easy for them. And we refer back to it in the tourism industry, it's called the €5 smile. But a lot of tourists are willing to try things that are about €5.
Great.
So our whole idea is to make this, almost an impulse where you can say, yes, let's try it. This will be great, €5. We'll take the risk and then have that enjoyable experience. And once we get the market educated, start raising that price up. And a lot of the tour operators we talk to, if you want to go take an audio tour in a lot of places, it's the same price, €5. So this is sort of the why not try it with AR and VR, get them hooked, and then be able to differentiate our price and move that up probably to the €7, €8, €9 range in not too much time.
Yeah, fantastic. From a technical standpoint, what would be the video resolution and what would be the bandwidth requirement?
Yeah, so the expeditions themselves are not video. They are 4K stereoscopic 360-degree reconstructions rendered out within 5-meter grids. So the images themselves are static. So in terms of bandwidth, we've been able to really optimize expedition size to lower the download amount, if you will, for people on site. So we're looking at around between 300 to 400 megabytes per expedition, and which is adaptable to tablets. So, for example, if you have a tablet with a high resolution, you have a high resolution image to the maximum capability of that tablet, as well as a PC. But for a mobile phone, it's a lower resolution because, of course, the screen is smaller to enable the best size download.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah. For the non-technical folks like myself out there, one of the cool things that I think about the content, what Simon and his team have created, like he was saying, it works just as well on your phone or an Oculus headset, but amazingly, the level of resolution can be used in large scale projected environments as well. It's that high resolution. So you can be projecting these things up 6 meters tall, and it still maintains that level of resolution. It's amazing.
That's incredible.
It really is.
Do you plan on doing any video in the future?
We have produced a number of videos in the past, and Leonard, you're right. High quality stereoscopic, high resolution stereoscopic 360 video is quite large, so it's not really suited for a downloaded experience on site. The use case for these videos are seated experiences within a museum, within a school, where you will view a 10 to 15 minute experience fly through of, for example, the Athenian Agora and Athenian Acropolis, or of Jerusalem. So yes, that's what and how we deploy our video.
Do you see or forecast any issues in coming up with, debatable things that have happened in history that people may or may not agree with?
Right at the very beginning, I thought this could potentially be an issue. However, I've found that all the specialist archaeologists and historians that I've spoken to have just think that what we're doing is fantastic, bringing archaeology to life, and remembering that archaeology is a science of discovering and understanding what was real. So real buildings, real artifacts, real events, and we part of our DNA is to provide scientifically backed information responsibly to our audience.
Great. So are there any current opportunities for room scale or arena style 360 roaming?
Absolutely, Christian. We are in a number of discussions mostly with universities about creating roamable experiences for not only teachable environments. So, for example, let's say you wanted to take your class to ancient Pompeii and take them through the forum. The avatars of your students appear, and the teacher is there, taking you on a guided tour, free roam in a Oculus Go headset. This is something we are very excited about exploring.
Yeah, it was actually funny. As I joined the company, Simon took me out to the Botanic Gardens here in Melbourne and showed me the Basilica in Pompeii. So I put on the Oculus headset and was walking around the gardens as if I was in the middle of the Basilica. And it was amazing, absolutely amazing.
So incredible. So do you have any competitors in the market space at the moment?
As I mentioned, there are a few that are doing the AR and VR for ancient sites. But as I mentioned, they're very device dependent. They want you to come in, and part of your experience is paying to rent the device. Yes. It seems to be one of the pillars of their strategy. And that's really what sets us apart, as I mentioned, is that we use the device in your own pocket in that sense. And what's really interesting, these other companies, they really don't distribute their content outside of the locations, where we're trying to not only be addressing the on-site visitor, but the student in the classroom, as well as that at-home explorer. Right. So it sets us apart a little bit that way. There's a lot of people in the AR and VR space, but again, They're not taking the time to do the archaeological research or to really understand how to tell these stories in a unique and compelling way.
For sure. So when you do open up your offer, are you intending on offering investor rewards?
We are actually. We want to make sure that the people who come on board really get to know and love what we do. And so that's giving them access to all of our ancient world content to experience for themselves.
Awesome. And how often do you intend to be actually talking to your investors after the round is closed?
I would say we'd like to be doing it on a regular basis with updates, keeping people informed, because I think at the end of the day, these are some of our best advocates out there. They're going to be our champions around the world as well. So we want them to be as engaged as possible.
Yeah, absolutely. And will shareholders have the ability to speak to you guys as founders of the business and, suggest perhaps new places that they would like to see?
I would love that. As you can tell, I really love talking about all this. So I'd be really happy to engage with people and hear their suggestions.
The only
good introductions.
The only potential issue about catching up with me to talk about it, and I love talking about Lithodomos, is I might just go on and on and on about it for many hours. I'm sorry, about what we do.
Not a bad thing.
But you'll learn so much about the ancient world when you do speak to Simon.
I've just had a question come through. What is the bottom line for investors? I'm not sure if you could be a bit more specific, Leonard, and just explain what you mean a little bit more for that question. That would be fantastic. In terms of the market, I know you've mentioned that it's expanding in terms of tourism. How big is the potential market out there as a whole for, I guess, tourism, the digital marketing, all of these things that you've touched on?
Well, there's so many different statistics out there that try to measure it. When you take a look at the tourism industry, and it's really hard to measure, because when you take a look at it, on one side, there's the cultural heritage sites. Yes, there's 1,100 UNESCO sites, but in terms of the ones that really drive the volume, you're talking about a couple of hundred, but that doesn't include any of the museums that are around the world. And each of these museums, think about it, they have artifacts that have come from halfway around the world. You can actually, with AR, immediately transport them to where those artifacts came from. Start taking a look at that. That's a significant size of a market. But then you also have cities like Lisbon that have incredible ancient neighborhoods that if you can travel through them and explore them with AR, bring them to life in a whole new way. It's really hard to quantify the size of that market. But what you can say when you start thinking about it is the market is huge in terms of the people that are out there experiencing it and the number of tourists that are traveling. And as I mentioned at the start of the presentation, UNESCO is actually estimating that 40% of worldwide travel is for cultural tourism, cultural heritage tourism, which is huge.
Yeah, absolutely. So we've got a question. What's the best way to get started in investing? Well, when the offer goes live, Leonard, you'll get an email from the Lithodomos team as well as the Birchal team, letting you know that is live, and you can check it out on the Birchal website. From there, you'll be able to have a look at the offer document, subscription agreement and constitution, and make an informed decision about investing. And also, if you have any questions about the offer document when you're there, you're welcome to ask the team at Lithodomos as well. So that's really helpful. In terms of what the next 12 months looks like for you guys, what's the plan?
As I mentioned in the presentation, it's really focusing on delivering some achievable numbers, 8 to 12 of those of our expeditions, and going back and getting probably 5 to 8 license deals. And we already have a couple of those under our belts. Securing that sales rep in Europe is really important to us, and getting a digital marketing campaign going. And it's really important you put all these things together, particularly when you focus on the very first one that I mentioned, the 8 to 12 expeditions. Our strategy there is really a piggyback strategy, that by working with them and getting access to their customers, that we're going to be able to build our brand. And from that, it'll help us get validation to then get more licenses, and through all of that, get more education institutions. It starts to really have that flywheel effect.
Yeah, fantastic. I don't think we've got any more questions today, but if anybody has any questions afterwards that they might have forgotten to answer today, please feel free to get in touch with either Birchal or the team at Lithodomos. We'll be shooting through an email later this afternoon, and it will have a copy of the recording, and feel free to respond to Lithodomos team if you've got any questions. Otherwise, the offer will be launching very soon, but we'll keep you up to date with that. Thank you so much, Craig and Simon, for coming on today. We really, really appreciate it.
Thank you, Emily, and thank you for everybody for listening in.
Absolute pleasure.
Thanks, guys. Take care.
Bye-bye.